Well, good morning, everyone. I'm Rodney Reynolds, and today is May the 6th, 2023. I hope you're having a good day so far, and let's hope this will be a great weekend. Here, it looks like it's going to be sunny and above 15 degrees Celsius, so that's good. You know, it's still the spring. I'm in Canada, so got to expect that. Today's show is like the other ones. It's going to be pretty jam-packed. I'm going to go through all of these different questions right here. Also cover some things on tech and games and whatnot. So that's going to take up some time. First, I'll be going through these questions here and then get on to some things like how many megapixels are your eyes and some of the new games that were released, NVIDIA, AMD, Steam, and a whole bunch of other things. So look forward to that. And I guess as the morning progresses here, we'll get more and more people joining this live stream. And if you have any questions for me, comments for me, you can go ahead and post them. And this is just a reminder here on the right side of my YouTube channel. You can go to youtube.com/3dgameman. And in here at the top right-hand corner, you can click on, you can get a t-shirt. If you'd like for example, unfortunately the motherboard tray is not removable t-shirt. You can join our very small community, Patreon. You can also tip me if you'd like. Here's a link to my Twitter account and my Steam account, although I'm not on Steam much these days. So let's go ahead and start the show. I'm going to try to be a little bit more concise and precise with regards to the format of this. And while the show will probably be around an hour long, and you know, it will, I think at the middle start to, as people join, it will start to, you know, stretch out a little bit. So if you are around for the first 20 minutes or so, I should be getting through most of this content in that time. And after that, I'll be just chatting with you guys in chat. And I will also be chopping these videos up throughout the week. So if you can't make this, then don't worry about it. Or if you can't stick around right now, well, you'll be able to see little snippets of it throughout the week. Now, I think this week I've had some very interesting polls here, very interesting questions overall. So that's going to be nice to go through here this morning. So I hope you have your tea, coffee, donuts, apples, oranges, whatever you eat, toast, cheese ready to go. I got some water here today. I just had some tea, so I'm kind of maxed out on the tea here. So a little bit of water, keep my throat lubricated here. Okay, so the first question here is, what is your preferred type of gaming headset? Over air, on air, or in air? Most people over ear. And I don't really have a headset per se. I have headphones. And the headphones that I use are these Sennheiser HD 208 Pros. I don't use them a whole lot, to be honest, but they're great. I mean, if you want to get a fantastic, you know, over-ear headset for very cheap and sounds amazing, these are probably one of your best options out there. I am not sponsored by anyone, actually, currently. Not doing product reviews anymore. I'm not sponsored by Sennheiser. I actually picked these up used for next to nothing. So you can pick these up used as well. They have the standard plug here, though, right? Just a 3.5 millimeter jack. So that's definitely an option if you want to go a little bit on the cheap side. And, you know, maybe you don't want to spend $200-300 for a headset or headphones. Then you can get something like that because you don't use it a whole lot. So that's definitely an option. Sorry, the mic was away from my mouth there. I don't know how much of that you caught, but yeah. So that's definitely something that you can look into. Now, from the comments here, you know, people are, you know, a little bit all over the place, but most people have over ear. Over ear are like it says, over the ear. In ear is, well, you know, in ear. earbuds, and on ear is actually on the ear. So they are a little smaller. I don't know why you would want that, to be honest, because it presses on your ear, and over time, it would definitely cause pain as well. Now, there is a comment in here I want to reference, actually. Someone mentioned bone conduction, anyone. So I guess that's what this person is alluding to, is making us aware that there is another option out there, bone conduction, and it's where it sits right here on the outside of your ear, and it kind of conducts, right, the sound through the outside of your head in through your ear. And you know, I haven't tried those, but that's definitely an option, because, you know, if you're worried about ear, like wax buildup and stuff on your ears, and that's very prevalent, certainly if you're gaming for any extended period with a headset or headphones on. So that's definitely an option. You can get bone conduction, you know, headset of sorts, you know, so that would be, you know, I don't know how many people have those, but it is a thing. It is definitely a thing. And it's pretty cool, actually. The technology is behind this is pretty cool. You can Google that and you can find out a little bit more about it. But it kind of sits on the side of your head here by your ear, on the outside, not in your ear, not on your ear, on the outside. And it conducts the sound kind of like through your head into your ear and from there. So that's pretty neat. But yeah, a majority of people are over ear, and that's what I kind of expected from this as well. Now, the next question is sorry. The next question is, you have $100 and only have two choices. Would you choose a fancy dinner? I don't know how fancy you're going to get for $100, but these days, you should have raised that to $400. Or purchase a game. And of course, this is a gaming community, so the majority of people are going to say, I'd spend money on a game rather than going to a nice dinner. However, it's not that far apart. So, you know, a lot of people are up in the air probably with this. You know, should you maybe spend some money, get out of the house, go to a nice dinner, you know? Maybe, you know, to break things up a little bit, or would you buy a game? One thing about it, and I noticed some of the comments here, a game costs, okay, let's just say it even costs $80, a brand new game. It costs $80, a dinner costs $100. You go out to dinner for maybe a couple of hours. For a game, you can play it for a couple of months, who knows, maybe a couple of years, right? So you get more out of a, let's say, $100 game than you would a $100 dinner for some people. For some people, no, totally. Forget the game. I'm going to go to dinner. So, but that was it. You had two choices, right? You can't pick both of them. You had two choices only. Someone just threw $100 at you and they asked you, choose. What do you want to go with? And the majority of people here say a game. Someone on, hey, good morning. Yeah, someone on here says dinner. Yeah. Why not? Yeah, whatever you're into. And maybe you've been gaming for a while and you're sick of it, and you know that $100 is right there, and you go, well, yeah, I want to go to dinner. I want to get out of the house. I want to socialize. I want to be with other people. And I think it depends also on where you live in the world, you know, because different cultures, different societies, you know, feel differently about that kind of stuff. You know, a lot of cultures are based on being extremely social, and you're out there, you know, all the time. So those people would obviously go to dinner as opposed to a game, probably, right? But yeah, there you go. There you have it. So on to the next one. We're moving right along here this morning on this beautiful morning. Now this is this question got some heat. Do you undervolt or overvolt your video card? Now, I guess maybe some people say, what in the heck? Why would you undervolt? Why would you overvolt? You know, really? I think the majority of people here, though, would probably understand why you would undervolt and why you would overvolt, or why you would just leave the card at some kind of stock settings and let it run automatically. So again, I'll just ask this question. Do you undervolt or overvolt your video card? I undervolt, I overvolt. It depends. Majority of people say it depends. And, you know, That's what I would go with as well. It depends on what application you are using your video card for. If you just throw your video card in your system and install, like for example, NVIDIA GeForce Experience drivers, leave everything to automatic, and you don't worry about, the video card ramping up the fan speeds to God knows where, and it's extremely loud, and you don't want to, install MSI Afterburner and all that stuff and tweak it all so you can get maybe a good voltage, a good clock speed, and a good fan speed, lock all that stuff in manually and have it so, the video card doesn't get too loud for maybe a game, or maybe you're mining. Maybe you want to increase the speed of the RAM on the memory, and maybe you want to undervolt the card because you don't want to burn as much power because maybe your system is on when you're mining or something like that, or maybe you have a bunch of video cards and you're mining or whatever. So there are reasons, obviously, for undervolting, overvolting, and there are situations where you want to do it and there are situations where you would not want to do it, right? Now, if you're just idling on your computer system and you're doing nothing and you have it in an auto mode, well, it's not going to ramp up, right? It's not. It's just going to, do it automatically and reduce the speed, and therefore, it won't burn as much electricity and whatnot. And trust me, in the future, when everything is maybe EVs, and I hope that day doesn't come, but it seems like governments are trying to push electric vehicles, electric everything. So energy costs right now, probably a little low, probably high where you live. Well, they'll get higher. So, this is going to become a concern over time as well. And that's probably another reason why some people would actually undervolt. But, undervolting is you're not going to be able to overclock as far. And to be honest, a lot of these video cards, NVIDIA from, AMD, you can probably overclock them a little bit higher. But when you overclock the video card, you do get a few more frames per second. However, it can be very unstable. And is it worth it? For some people, it is. For some people, it is not. I always try to tweak it a little bit, and try to get that perfect setting overall with the memory, with the core, and with the voltage, and just hit that sweet spot, and get the most out of your purchase, right? Whatever it may be, get the most out of it. And certainly if you're buying a card that is lower in price, is probably a generation behind, and you kind of need to get, you need to get it where, you can get the most, the absolute most out of it. So yeah, so this turned out to be a very interesting question after all. Some of them get a lot of comments and some of them don't, but this one certainly did. So let's go on to the next one here. And remember, if you're on here, you can go ahead and ask me questions, leave comments, or just, comment along with me as I'm going through this. So the next one is, how often do you reinstall the operating system? Reinstall the operating system at least once a year, only if there's a major issue or you're forced to because of it, only when a new version of the operating system is available, or other. The majority of people say only if there's a major issue or you're forced to because of it. And that's me for the most part. I'm not going to be installing the operating system over and over and over just because, I want to refresh it. You don't have to these days. Uninstall a program, and that's usually enough to fix maybe an issue that you might possibly have, or uninstall a driver and that can fix it, restart, and you should be okay. The thing is, of course, if you have a whole bunch of programs installed, have everything set up, everything tweaked, you have a bunch of games installed, to remove the operating system and reinstall it from scratch, it takes a lot of time and energy to do that. Of course, it depends on what you're using your computer for, but if you're using it for, maybe work or semi-work, hobbies and gaming and everything, to reinstall it all a few times a year, it is it's not easy. So yeah, so so next to that would be reinstall the operating system at least once a year. So people do actually reinstall the operating system, you know. And back in the day before Windows 10, I did that actually. I used to install it, refresh it, because it used to get bogged down. It seemed slow. It got corrupted. And but then again, you know, that was because I was kind of forced to do it in a way. But if I wanted a clean install, and the other thing too, of course, is if you're installing let's just say a brand new motherboard or something, you're going to have to reinstall the operating system for the most part. I would recommend doing that and having a clean install with, you know, all the new hardware that you did upgrade, or a major upgrade, hardware upgrade that you would do. Because if you don't, well, for the most part, a motherboard install, you know, unless it's a very similar chipset or something, it's just not going to work. So there you have it. And there's that one. Let's move on to the next question here. What type of gaming chair do you use? Now, I should have probably stated this a little differently, because by gaming chair, I meant really the chair that you use for gaming. So I could have worded that probably a little better, but I'll say this again so I can chop this video up. What type of gaming chair do you use? A racing style chair, an ergonomic chair, that would be an office chair, a rocker, a pedestal, like a bar stool, or a bean bag. Can you imagine gaming in a bean bag chair? You'd have all kinds of, I think, physical ailments. The majority of people, I think, got it with the ergonomic chair being an office chair, and the majority of people have an office chair. That's what I've had. That's what I've always had. I have not gotten any kind of fancy gaming chair. However, those chairs are pretty cool, right? Because the back, you know, there's a section here for your head and everything. They look pretty cool as well. But I have never owned what you call a gaming racing kind of chair. I've just owned ergonomic office chairs, and they are, for the most part, they are pretty inexpensive, you know, and you can get something for your back on them, you know. So usually they come with something, but you can just get something to, you know, put there. And I would recommend doing that, you know, something to support your back. Please do that, and get one with, of course, arms, where the arms support your arm, especially, well, both of them, to be honest, and you can kind of rest your arm on the chair and then on the desk, and then wrap your hand around the mouse, because that will also help you when it comes to doing computer work or gaming or anything else. And that's a trick that I've used over the years. And also, if you can get a desk that's not like a rectangular desk, get a desk that's kind of like an L-shaped desk, something where it kind of curls around you. And then also you can use that better, much better, because the desk kind of wraps around you. And that's what I kind of have here in this setup, and it works extremely well. So that's just a little tip there. Get a chair, full blown office chair, you know, with a pretty high back, arms, so you can, you know, get comfortable. And that's the whole point behind it, right? Get comfortable, get seated, and then you can do your work, game, or whatever else that you need to do on your computer system. But the majority of people, again, go with an ergonomic office chair. You can get some great ones, you know, go to Costco and get one for, I don't know, $150, $200 here in Canada, $100 in the States, maybe less. I wouldn't recommend necessarily completely cheaping out on an ergonomic office chair, you know, but you know, I mean, you can get those well over $1,000, no problem whatsoever. So, you know, is it worth spending that kind of money? Well, I suppose for some people it might be, but I think anything that's going to be cushy on your bum and anything that's going to support your back is really going to work. But in most cases, from my experience of buying many office chairs over the years, most of them don't have adequate back support. So get something extra for your back, and they're not cheap. They're not expensive, right? Just $20, $20 or something, some support for your back, and just wrap it on the chair. Usually comes with something that, it can attach to your chair, and that will make things, it changes the whole dynamics of it, right? It's like, it's like sitting in a really, really uncomfortable beanbag chair and then sitting in an office chair, and it's totally different experience whatsoever. And it kind of sets your mind also into a different, zone. When you're comfortable, you're seated, you're anchored, you're ready to go. So this person on here, hello and good morning to you as well. I paid around $600 for a chair, which is, yes, that's a lot. That's a lot of money. And are you in the United States? If you're in the States, that's around $1,200 here in Canada. Anything in the US, you can double it here in Canada. You've got the exchange rates and shipping and duties and taxes and everything else. But I can't even imagine spending that kind of money on a chair, to be honest. But then again, it is pretty important, It's what you're sitting in. It's for your back. It's for your shoulders. It's for your posture. It's pretty important. And that's probably how you looked at it as well, right? Okay, so let's get on to the next question here. This might be the second last one, and then I'll move on to some of the news that I've seen over the week. So the next one here is, have you experienced physical discomfort from extended gaming sessions? Yes, sometimes, or no. The majority of people say yes, and you might need two things, like I just mentioned: a really good ergonomic chair and an L-shaped desk that kind of wraps around you. You can sit yourself into it with a back support. It supports your whole body completely, and that will make things a little easier. However, you're probably still going to have maybe neck pain, shoulder pain, arm pain, wrist pain. It just comes along with these extended sessions, whether you be gaming or not, you're going to have these issues, right? But take a break. Take a break every half an hour if you need to. Take a break every couple of hours, whatever. Younger, less really, but older, you probably need to take more breaks. And not only is it physically for your eyes, for your body, but also for your eyes. And, you want to get away and look away, and that's good as well, I believe. But yeah, a lot of people do have physical discomfort when they're sitting down and gaming, and that's definitely to be expected. But there are ways to mitigate that as well. Stretch is another one. Maybe do some yoga. You don't have to go out and, go somewhere in a studio or something. Just do some yoga at home or something. Do some stretches. Do some push-ups, chin-ups. I don't know. That will also help you and help your muscles and whatnot. So yeah, maybe before you hit the chair gaming for 4 or 5 hours, get down there, do some military-style push-ups, and you'll be ready to go. Ready to go. You feel good about yourself as well if you do that. All right, so let's get on to the next one here. How important is game optimization and performance to you? It's everything. Important, but not everything. Doesn't matter as long as it runs. Now, the majority of people say it's everything, and that would be me. Optimization and performance in games is, well, not all the reason why I play games, but it's got a lot to do with it. A lot to do with it. I want to optimize the game as much as possible, tweak the settings all across the board, and I want to get, because of that, a lot of performance out of the game to match and support my particular video card, and try and get at least 60 to 75 frames per second plus. Not surprising. Not surprising for a gaming community. It's not at all. So, not at all. And, myself personally, sometimes you spend a hell of a lot of time, right? Even before you start the game, or maybe you start the game and go, wow, this is not working at all. This is just too slow. So you go back in, you tweak it, you try it again, you tweak it and tweak it and tweak it. And this can take quite a while. And it's fun, you know. I mean, maybe some people wouldn't think it's fun. People who are buying consoles are not, you know, worried about that. They just, you know, set it, install it, forget it, and play it, right? And that's fine. That's good. If you want to do that. I mean, I think personally myself, gaming on the PC, I've had consoles in the past, and I've never, I don't know. It's just something about it that doesn't do it for me. But a lot of people are buying consoles, and I can see why. They're inexpensive in comparison to a PC, but you can get so much more, of course, out of the PC. A gaming console is just a gaming console, and that's it for the most part. I mean, you can do other things on it, like streaming and, you know, watch TV and whatnot, but, you know, it's not a productive product, really. But yeah, it's game optimization and performance is kind of like what the industry is about, really, right? You want to get a card that you can use and get the frames per second that you want out of it. And usually that's, again, 60 to 75 frames per second. It depends kind of on the hertz of your display as well, right? And, you know, I would recommend, if you're going with a monitor these days, you know, you don't have to spend oodles and amounts of money on your monitor unless you're a professional or something. But, you know, a 60 hertz or a 75 hertz display, maybe 1440p, that would be perfect. Because then you don't have to buy a video card that's $2,000. I'm going to get into the cost of video cards and all that a little later on. But yeah, that's it. That is the first part of the show here, completed, finished. And if you're just joining me, hello, good morning. Happy May the 6th. So let's go to some of the questions here. And while I'm asking these, I'll remind you that you can pick up a t-shirt if you'd like. Unfortunately, the motherboard tray is not removable. And some of you that have been with me for a while will know all too well what all that's about. If you're not, or if you're just joining me, then you probably don't. And by the way, if you're wondering why there is a delay in the chat here, it's because I set up a delay just to cut down on any kind of nonsense that might or might not be going on in here, like posting and posting and posting and posting. So every 20 seconds, I believe it is, you can post. It's just a heads up there. If you're posting and you can't post, that's what's going on. There's a delay. And I believe I set up subscriptions only, so you have to be subscribed to get involved in the chat here as well. And that should, you know, kind of filter out some of the nonsense that can potentially happen in these live sessions. But regardless, you can report them if you see that happening. And to be honest, I don't really care either way. I'm just looking at the forecast here because after this live show, I'm probably going to head out after getting something to eat. It is apparently going to be 19 degrees and sunny here today. You know, tomorrow, my God, really? Seriously? Rain again? Isn't May supposed to be flowers? It's supposed to be 16 tomorrow, sunny, cloudy, hopefully mostly sun. But next week is getting off to a good start. 19, 18 degrees and sunny. So that's a good thing. Maybe I can get it with my camera later today, go down by the lake or go somewhere, get some nice shots and pictures of wildlife. That's something that I love doing, absolutely love doing. I don't know if any of you in here love photography. You don't have to have a fancy camera, you know, take your phone with you. Some of the phones these days are getting spectacular, and they'll only continue to get better and better and better. But yeah, something that I really, really enjoy. I've been doing that for a very long time, photography. All right, so let's get into the second half of the show. We got a half an hour left in this show. If you're just joining me, you can pipe up and get involved in the comments here if you'd like to. All right, so now these are basically things that I see throughout the week, and I make notes of them to mention them in the live show every Saturday. So stuff that I myself personally find intriguing. And one of the things was the fact, and I didn't know this, your eyes are apparently around 124 megapixels. So is it time for a 4K TV? That's a lot of megapixels, eh? A lot. However, cameras these days are surpassing that. Some of the higher end non-consumer stuff, certainly passing that by a long shot. That's a lot. 124 megapixels. Jeez. You know, a lot of decent mirrorless cameras these days are 30 to 60 megapixels. But I don't think it has anything to do with the TV though, because you know, most people are getting maybe 60-inch TVs, 50-inch TVs, and you're probably 12, 14 feet away from them. You're going to see these little tiny pixels. Are you going to see any difference? I've seen some of these, you know, really high-res TVs on display at these box stores, and honestly, you stand back, you can't really notice much of a difference. And of course, what they're demoing at that store is going to try and highlight and accentuate the fact that, oh, it's, you know, it's a 4K TV or an 8K TV or whatever. But honestly, for the majority, I bet you, if you were to do a blind test and you were to have a display maybe 12 feet away that was 1080p, 4K and 8K, I don't know that the average person would be able to detect it. Right? We're not talking about maybe, you know, us and gamers and all that kind of stuff, because not everyone's gamer, not everyone's visually acute and can detect the differences, right? But they're, you know, it's like sound, right? Some people love great sound, great audio, and they can hear it, but some people are like, you know, they can't. They just can't. They don't have that, whatever it is, right? But for me, I mean, I don't see much of a difference, to be honest, when I'm, you know, sitting way back from a television, whether it be at 1080p or even 4K. I have a 4K TV, and I've had one for a very long time, and you know, it might seem like it's, you know, a little clearer, but then again, it could be a mind thing, right? Thinking, oh, well, you know, this has got to be 4K, and you know, wow, this looks pretty clear. And then you check the specs on it, the information on what you're streaming, and they're like, this is not 4K, this is 1080p. But who cares? Because, you know, it looks good, right? I used to be pretty fussy about that stuff, but as long as I see it now, I don't really care. You know, it's like, all right. And I don't know about TV and movies these days. You know, I never thought I would do this, but I find myself fast forwarding through television shows now and movies now. I sometimes speed them up to get through them. I find a lot of content out there is not, well, some of it's garbage, but it's not captivating anymore. You know, or that could be, you know, part and parcel of me watching so many TV shows and watching so many movies. I've kind of, you know, seen it. I've been there and done that. And I don't know if, you know, you guys do the same thing, but I kind of now go and predict things that will happen in a movie. So you're watching a movie and you're going to say, this guy is going to, you know, rat out the other guys. And yeah, it happens. Or So that kind of spoils it, right? I would like to watch something where I don't know what's coming up, something that's original, something that's gritty, something that's not all, everyone's not super pretty and molded and whatnot. So, that's the kind of TV I like. And to be honest, a lot of stuff that I try and watch is foreign stuff. Some of it's audio dubbed, and it's good. It's good programming. And, with the new bill here in Canada, CRTC regulating things and, promoting more Canadian content, my God, I don't want to say anything about Canadian broadcasters and Canadian content, but Canadian content, some of it's good, but the majority of it is not so good. I'm being very kind. It's not so good. It really isn't. And if you're going to regulate all that stuff, because what you see, what you can watch in the UK or what you can watch in the US, what I can watch in Canada, it's all filtered and regulated, and you can't see it, and even now if you have a VPN, you can't really, it doesn't work because, it doesn't, because they know the tricks and you can't really do that anymore. So it's crazy. If someone makes a movie and it's, passed in a certain country, why wouldn't everyone be able to watch it? Oh boy, it's pretty nuts. It's about money, right? Terry is on here again this morning. Good morning, Terry. Yeah. You get a lot of that these days. A-list characters just, being in like a quarter of the movie, and that's it. And you start watching the movie for this A-list actor. I just started watching something on Paramount. Mel Gibson was in it. What was it called? See, not even memorable. And it's okay. It'll pass the time, but it's not Mad Max. I can tell you that much. Yeah, that's true. Canada's produced a lot of great actors and actresses, no doubt about it, for sure. But I find myself living in Canada, a lot of the content here, I don't know, I guess maybe it's part and parcel of me being here and knowing, what Canadians are like and our dialects and everything else. And, I don't know, maybe that's part of it. And, maybe the rest of the world views Canadian content as being very original and very creative and wonderful overall. But I find a lot of Canadian content, it's getting better, but I find the majority of it very B, it's not AAA stuff. But like I said, you've got great actors and actresses coming out of Canada. And, Trailer Park Boys, for example, right? Jim Carrey, there's a lot. There's a lot of them. Yeah. But I sit back and I start watching some of these shows and I get, oh my God, really? Seriously? I hate it when you spend like 10 or 15 minutes watching something and you just wasted 10 or 15 minutes. You give it a chance, right? Yeah, and what happens? What happens to a lot of Canadian actors and actresses? Where do they go? They go to the US. So that pretty much says it all, doesn't it? More money and, more people and more everything, really. But yeah, so that's I got to see what happened there. I got off into a tangent for like 5-10 minutes. And this was all about how many megapixels your eyes are. And if you missed it, your eyes are at 124 megapixels. Anyway, so let's go on to the next one here. AAA games. Speaking of games, can cost up to $1 billion to make. $1 billion for a AAA title? I can tell you one thing, with AI, they are not going to cost that anymore. This is old school. I'd say some 18-year-old, 16-year-old in their basements are going to be able to create a game now using the Unreal Engine 5.2, 5.10, version 6. God knows what's coming with AI. It's crazy. So, and you'll be able to do it probably make a game in a month or two if you're really proficient at it and you've done it in the past. But yeah, anyway, this is more of a stat from the past, I suspect. AAA games can cost over $1 billion to make. This is according to a report released alongside CMA's decision to block Microsoft Activision acquisition. So, $1 billion per game. God, it's no wonder there's $70 for the new games. Anyway, let's go on here and let me show you some things. Let me get this off the screen here. This wonderful, this beautiful t-shirt here. Whew. All right, so let's go on here. Let's go to some free games. We want something free, right? So these are the ones from Epic, which are all, you know, not so good. You've got Against All Odds. You've got a racing game of sorts, Horizon, Chase Turbo, and Cow, the Kangaroo. Maybe it's Cow, the Kangaroo. They're all free on Epic if you want to check those out. Free is good. I grab them always just in case. You never know, right? I might want to play Cow, the Kangaroo. Could happen. There's this one as well, which is, I haven't tried this actually. Now, I don't know if you probably need this, the base Stalker game from like 4,000 years ago to play this, but they've redone it all. Stalker Anomaly looks like an amazing game. Like, I can't say that enough. I haven't tried it, like I said, but I've watched some reviews on it lately. And it's like a role-playing survival game. And these games are becoming extremely popular. Oh, yes. And, you know, if you have the time, very sophisticated systems in a lot of these games. Here's another one that is free. Operation Harsh Doorstop. Free. Completely free. Early access game. Grab it if you want to. And this is a single player. It's PvP. It's an online co-op. Again, I don't have a lot of time to play these games. I'm now into mostly Red Dead Redemption 2. I've also started to get into Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon Breakpoint. I might be releasing a video on a little playthrough that I did on that. Maybe today, maybe tomorrow, maybe the next day. Okay, next one here, free. And this one is, I think, a knockoff for Tarvok. Is it? I'm not sure if I got that right. It's like a light version of that game, and it's an online PvP game. This looks pretty good. I actually did try this for a moment, and it was not bad. It's not bad, but I just don't have the time to be online. Mixed reviews on this one, though, but I think it'll get a little better overall. And I believe this was a mobile game at one point, or it still is, or not sure. Now, this one looks incredible, actually. Caliber. This looks like a really good game. Again, you know, online PvP, online co-op game. What else do we have here? This is another one that's coming up. You can register for this one. This is a Ubisoft game, X Defiant. Another, you know, PvP game online thing. I did register for this. I haven't heard anything about being accepted or anything, and not that I would have much time to spend on it, but it would be nice to check it out and see what it's all about. And there's this one, which I did actually post a video on my channel. Pretty neat. Pretty neat game. This, you know, look at this. Very positive, overwhelmingly positive. It's free. Deadly Stillness. Kind of looks like The Last of Us. It's pretty good. It's a pretty good game. Yeah. And I don't know about you guys, but have you actually heard about two new games, Redfall and Jedi Survivor? I suspect you have. Redfall. Let's type in Redfall here. So this game, single player, online co-op, cross-platform, multiplayer, on and on. See this? So a lot of negative reviews on this. very bad game right now on release. All kinds of glitches, all kinds of restarts, all kinds of being kicked out, all kinds of issues. Just, it's not unplayable, but it's pretty close. Now, if you look at the price here, it's $90. This is for me here in Canada. Really? I mean, a lot of reviewers are just slamming this game. Just absolutely. And what's the point? What's the point of releasing something like this? You have to know how playable it is or how not playable it is or unplayable it is, right? Before you release it as a developer, and you still release it. You're just going to get bad reviews. And because of that, a lot of people are not going to probably purchase the game. They're not going to play it. They're rather going to play something else and spend their time playing something else that's $80 or $90 or $100, you know? Yeah, Redfall, yeah. Terry is saying that Redfall looks horrible. It does, actually. It doesn't look like anything that I'm interested in. And to be honest, the graphics in this look, I don't know, cartoonish. I don't want to, I have no interest in playing a game like that. I want a game to be as realistic to reality as possible. Now, I think maybe they're trying to go for a game that, you know, is kind of, I don't know, cartoonish, in my opinion, looking that you can get some decent frames per second. I'm not sure that that is happening in this game because I don't think it's optimized that well and all the rest of it. And Jedi Survivor, while I would like to play that game, because I played the last one, which was incredible, actually, that's having all kinds of issues as well. Now, NVIDIA has released some new drivers to, you know, combat some of the issues with these games. But, you know, hold off, guys, you know. Hold off for a number of reasons. Hold off for patches to come through. Hold off for new drivers to be released from AMD, NVIDIA, and even Intel. So, you know, give the game a few months at least. I normally give a game because I just don't have the time to, you know, play every single new game that's released. Oh my God, new game's released. I'm going to try it. No, I wait, and sometimes it's years I wait. And by that time, the majority of problems with it have been ironed out. And it takes developers quite a while to get to some of these things. And it takes quite a while also for developers to figure out what's going on, identify the problems, and actually fix the problems. And then, you know, go ahead and release a patch. It's a big process, right? Involved with a game. So, but developers, try and release a game that's more polished before you release it. You know, it's, I understand release dates are important and all the rest of it, but all you're going to do is upset the community, and, you know, reviewers are going to review it very negatively. And I heard as well that Bethesda, I'm not sure if this is true or not, but they were not releasing this game to reviewers until like a few hours before the actual official release date. And that could have been for the fact that they want to, you know, mitigate them not selling, you know, the sales, right? They want to try and, people are thinking Redfall looks good, you know, I'm going to buy it. So if there's no reviews, maybe you'll just buy it and you go, oh my goodness, but there's no reviews, so you can't review the product before you buy it. And, you know, most of us, if we're buying anything these days, of course, you're going to go out and you're going to look for a review on the product, right, before you spend your hard-earned money on it. That wasn't the case with this one. And I think some developers are, this is a trend, and, you know, we know what's going on, so this is not a good thing. And a lot of people are also now with Unreal Engine, and there's a lot of individual small groups that are actually designing games like the ones I just mentioned, the free games, by themselves in little small groups. And I think this is what's coming. I think developers, boy, oh boy, I think the future is going to change dramatically for them and sales, because I think there's going to be community people out there who played games for years, know the community, and they're doing this now. They're going to be making games themselves. And those games are going to be, you know, I think stellar. Yeah, probably. I mean, when you think about developing a game and supporting the game throughout its decade history or longer, that's where that $1 billion probably goes, right? And it does, it does need a lot of support, and people, I guess, don't realize that. I would just ask that, no tricks, no trickery. Just try to release a game that is as polished as possible. And that's a challenge, based upon everyone's hardware and the drivers and everything else. So it's not an easy task to do. And I'm sure that some of the people now that, are getting into making games themselves are probably understanding the fact how terribly difficult it is to release, a game that is going to be, worshipped, and the community is going to rate it as very positive. So, yeah. All right. So moving right along here, let's get on to, the driver for NVIDIA was just released, version 531.79. And this was, I think, just for basically, a few patches overall for a few games, but basically for the release of Redfall. And I'm sure there'll be another one coming next week. But if you've noticed, NVIDIA is releasing almost weekly drivers these days to deal with, I guess, the issues that some of these new games are having. But a lot of people are, complaining that as of late, the games that are being released are just, are not good. So, and a lot of people, if you've noticed as well online, a lot of reviewers are going back and playing older games, from like a decade ago or whatnot. And some of those games are, in my opinion, while the mechanics might not be as much, or you might not have so many options, those games are really good. I mean, if you look at Tom Clancy's Wildlands, that was an amazing game, right? This is a game you should probably check out if you haven't already. I don't know why this is still $60, but you can pick this up somewhere else. This was released in 2017. This is, in my opinion, one of the very best games out there. This was a masterpiece. I believe this was set in Bolivia, and the environment is just beautiful. And I was hoping that Breakpoint, the latest release for Ghost Recon, I was hoping that would be like this map, but it isn't. I mean, it's not bad overall, but it's nothing like this. I hope the next game, Ghost Recon, is Breakpoint 2 or whatever it's going to be called, is going to have a more engaging environment overall. But this was a starter game. It's something that you can pick up. You can pick up this, I think, for $5 or $10, I believe, if you know where to look. You can go to gg.deals if you want to pick up games that are, cheap. Yeah, I've played a few hundred hours of Breakpoint, actually. So I'm very familiar with Breakpoint. Breakpoint is an amazing game. I'm starting to get back into it a little bit now. But Breakpoint, you need to play it like on a veteran elite mode, really, for it to be not so arcadish. If you play Ghost Recon in a really high skill level, then it becomes a very interesting game. Otherwise, it's, I don't know. I find it a little bit, it makes you feel good. It makes you feel like, you're a boss, right? Because you're just sniping everyone and everything. But there's not much of a challenge in that unless you go super hard on the game. And actually, there's mods now. You can mod Breakpoint. You couldn't do that in the past. Yeah, someone else here agreeing with the fact that Wildlands is an excellent game. It's still an excellent game. Don't hesitate just because it's from 2017 to pick this up. And I'll mention this again. I always push this game, Mad Max. If you're looking for a crazy, amazing open world game that you can spend 50 to 100 plus hours in, Mad Max, check it out. $5. You will thank me. Definitely is a wonderful, wonderful game. So we've got 5 minutes left. Holy crap. So this is we're getting down to the end here. We're getting down to the end. So this is I'm still talking about NVIDIA here. I just spoke about the new driver they released, 531.79. NVIDIA is really well known for their GPUs, but says it actually spends 80% of its time on the software. So NVIDIA apparently spends a hell of a lot more time on software than they do on their GPUs. And, well, people could say, well, that's why. Maybe they forgot to put, enough memory on their video cards. But, yeah, they're doing a lot of stuff when it comes to AI. A lot of stuff going on in these companies. A lot of stuff. And speaking of memory on your video card, of course, AMD is kind of, taunting and laughing at NVIDIA with regards to how much VRAM that NVIDIA has on their video cards. Now, to be fair, there's enough memory on most of the NVIDIA video cards, while it be, some of them have 10 gigabytes. I have a 3080 and it's 10 gigabytes. And for the games that I play at 1440p, it's fine. It never really breaches that. However, with the new engines that are coming and higher resolution screens, you're going to need, probably 16 gigs plus. And that's where AMD definitely defeats NVIDIA, in that respect. But NVIDIA kind of one-ups AMD when it comes to RTX, if you want to enable that. Yeah. So anyway, what's the next topic here? This is about NVIDIA again. NVIDIA RTX 4080. Oh, yeah. So the NVIDIA 4080 is probably one of the better all-around video cards that you can get right now. Terribly expensive, though. It just dropped in price by $60. All right. Well, that doesn't interest anybody. Apparently, it's around $1,100 right now, $1,109 US. That's double here. So that's around $2,000 Canadian for just a video card. That is insane. Who is spending that kind of money? $2,000? Nah. No. Again, my recommendation still is to get a 3080. You're not going to get, you're not going to be able to take advantage of the DLSS version 3, but still a fantastic card. And I'm still looking. I'm waiting for the 4080s to drop in price. And by the way, the 50 or 5000 series NVIDIA video cards, well, they'll be released. I don't know if it'll be this year, but it'll be next year. That's for sure. And I don't know if you guys noticed this as well, if you've been on Steam lately or not, but the whole search thing with Steam on their website, desktop or mobile apps has improved. They've included tags, developers, publishers, franchises, and that's something that was missing, right? So when you do a search within Steam, if you do a search, a lot of things come up, and that's good. That's good because if you want to search for, all the games from maybe Ubisoft, would this work? Maybe it's not updated. I don't know. Ubisoft. Oh, yes, it does. Look, see this? So it comes up with Ubisoft here, and it's 139 games. That's pretty cool. And that's something that should have been there before. As far as I know, it wasn't. That's pretty cool, right? Pretty neat. Well, that's it. Anything else, guys? That's it for this show. This is another Saturday gone. Not quite gone, at least not quite yet. I'll hang around for a little while longer if you want to chat about a few other things. But just as a reminder here before I wrap this up, Let me go back here to this. Yeah. Let's wrap this up. So, thanks again for joining me. Thanks again for subscribing. Hit the notification bell, because without doing so on YouTube, because YouTube is YouTube, you won't get notified when I release new videos, which is crazy because most people are thinking that when you subscribe, you get notifications. That's not the case. You have to subscribe and then you have to hit the notification bell, and and remember to do that. That helps, of course. And keep in mind as well, if you're on TikTok, go ahead and follow, share, like, do all that kind of stuff. It helps me. You can buy a t-shirt if you want to. Again, you can go to youtube.com/3dgameman. You can help and join my Patreon page. That's up there as well at the top right-hand corner with this beautiful picture. Looks kind of like Aurora in Ghost Recon Breakpoint here. And yeah, you can give me a tip. You can go to my Twitter page. You can go to my Steam page as well. So that will be it for this live show. I hope you enjoyed it. Again, I will chop up this show into segments and push them out throughout the week. If you missed this, or if you only got part of it, I will chop it up and you can see pieces of it, the pieces that I think are more interesting. Certainly all the questions here, I'll chop those up. It's difficult to chop it all up because I don't like pushing out too much content per se per day. Usually it's 1 or 2 videos I push out every single day. And, I could push out a hell of a lot more than that, but I'm kind of like, I don't want to push out, too much. Because it seems like when I do that, subscribers get like, what are you pushing out so much content for? All I'm seeing is 3D Game Man in my news feed or my notification feed. So it's the tricky bunch, man. Tricky bunch. Anyway, again, subscribe, hit the notification bell, like, share, follow. You can do the Patreon thing. You can buy a t-shirt. You can give me a super thanks. You can, do all that wonderful stuff. And thanks again for subscribing. Thanks again for those of you who have hung around with me for years and years and years, since the year 2000, 22 years. Can you imagine? Time flies by so quickly. Well, until next Saturday, what the heck date is that? Saturday, the May the 13th. A few more weekends and we'll have a long weekend. So, yeah. May the 13th is the next one. And I will see you all then.